hot. Meg caught grabbing Has by the collar forcefully as he cancelled Memoir to keep Archie, Lili titles. Prince Harry is reportedly hustling to make some major last-minute changes to his upcoming memoir after reports suggested that King Charles will decide on his kids Archie and Lilibet's titles after the book's release. In a recent chat with GB News, royal expert Kinsey Schofield cited sources telling her that the Duke of Sussex is scrambling to edit several parts in the book which he thinks might come off as insensitive in light of the Queen's death earlier this month. He is afraid that he'll come off insensitive, and he's afraid that there will be backlash if he releases some of these stories right after the death of Queen Elizabeth, as his father King Charles is trying to start his reign on a high note, Schofield said. We're being told that he is hustling, trying to get some items removed, trying to work around some of the stories he's told in his book, she added. Schofield went on to add that despite Prince Harry wanting to make these changes, it might be too late to if he still wants the book out by fall this year. That just might not be an option at this time. If he really does want that fall release date close to Christmas to get the Christmas rush, those pages may already be on the printer, she claimed. The comments come as Sussex fans wait with bated breath to see whether King Charles will make Archie and Lilibet Prince and Princess, titles that they are now entitled to as grandchildren of the monarch. In other news, Meghan Markle's latest Archetypes podcast has been criticized as massively egotistical by a former aide to Margaret Thatcher. The Duchess was talking to celebrity guests in the latest episode of her Spotify podcast, which was released on Tuesday, October 11th. But the episode featuring Indian actress Deepika Padukone, comedian Jenny Slate and actress Constance Wu drew criticism from a former aide of Mrs. Thatcher. Sharing his opinion on Twitter, Niall Gardner wrote, "Another completely pointless, massively egotistical, hubris-filled podcast from Meghan Markle." During the podcast, Meghan told listeners, "Raise your hand if you've ever been called crazy or hysterical, or what about nuts? Insane, out of your mind, completely irrational, okay? You get the point. Now, if we were all in the same room and could see each other, I think it would be pretty easy to see just how many of us have our hands up. By the way, me too." Meghan added, "Calling someone crazy or hysterical completely dismisses their experience and minimizes what they're feeling. It keeps going to the point where anyone who's been labeled it enough times can be gaslit into thinking that they're actually unwell, or sometimes worse, to the point where real issues of all kinds get ignored. Well, that's not happening today. I feel pretty strongly about this word, this label crazy, the way that it's thrown around so casually, and the damage it's rotten for society and women, frankly everywhere. From relationships to families being shattered, the reputations destroyed and careers ruined. The stigma surrounding the word, it also has this silencing effect. This effect, women experiencing real mental health issues, they get scared, they stay quiet, they internalize, and they repress for far too long." She also said she finds it difficult to cry as she is conditioned to have a certain kind of composure, but she wants to let it out. Meghan and Harry, 38, stepped back from royal duties in January 2020, becoming financially independent. The couple moved to Montecito, California in August of the same year. Since quitting their roles as senior royals, the Sussexes have struck lucrative deals with Netflix and Spotify. Asked how long-lasting the global Sussex brand can be now Prince Harry and Meghan have stepped back from royal duties, ex-Vanity Fair editor Tina Brown said the Duke would always be royal as the son of King Charles and Princess Diana. Ms. Brown told the Cheltenham Literature Festival on Tuesday, "He will always have the iconic status that has. He does have an identity, his Invictus Games, has an authenticity, and people relate to that." She added, "I think Meghan does really need to find the thing she cares about the most and develop her own sort of brand that isn't just a grievance brand, that is actually something we recognize as hers. It's hard to find that, and I think she hasn't yet found that, but I think she could if she rose back from the focusing always on what didn't work." Bollywood star Ms. Padukone detailed her own mental health struggles during the latest Archetypes podcast, revealing how she ended up in a dark place. She said, "You just feel hopeless. There is this feeling of emptiness and hollowness and hopelessness. Miss Padicone got help after talking to a family friend who was a counselor, and set up a foundation called Live Love Laugh to help those living with mental health issues. Meghan responded, saying that, when she was at her worst point, her husband, Harry, made a mental health referral for her. She said, "My husband had found a referral for me to call. And I called this woman and she didn't even know I was calling her. And she was checking out at the grocery store. I could hear the little beep, beep, she could hear the dire state that I was in. But I think it's for all of us to be really honest about what it is that you need and to not be afraid and make peace with that, to ask for it, afraid and